Hello and welcome to this special questions and answers edition of The Rest is Entertainment with me, Marina Hyde.
And me, Richard Osman. It is special, isn't it?
It is.
We spoke on Tuesday a little bit about Adolescence. I don't think there's ever been a show that came out where we've had more questions from listeners who wanted to know lots of the technical aspects. I mean, so much stuff they wanted to know. We put your questions to Philip Barantini, who is the director, and to Matt Lewis, who's the director of photography. The first question we put to them was from Charlotte Green. How on earth did you find Owen Cooper, who was the star of this thing, the young kid who's extraordinary? How did you find him? What was that process? And also, how did he learn all of those lines? How did he get everything done, given the whole thing was shot in one take?
Yeah, well, I'd received, hundreds and hundreds of tapes through Shaheen Beg, our wonderful casting director. One of the first things I asked for was just an improvised moment of two sort of ideas. One of them was you've been brought into your head teacher's office and you're guilty of something. And then the other scenario was that you were innocent of this thing, right? And I just wanted to see what, how they played it. Owen was someone who just was so real and so natural. And, it's quite rare to see that in an actor, especially in auditions. And I think he just didn't really have any preconceptions about what acting was. He'd done some acting classes and, he was doing it for fun, really. We got him in. And we put him through his paces, really. He had like 5 auditions, and a couple of those were with Stephen towards the end of the process. And it just, every time he came in, he just absolutely nailed it. And I sort of, I would give him more and more things to do. And Matt even came in on one of the screen tests with Stephen and filmed it. And we were all just like, as he left, we were just like, oh yeah, this kid is like different level. So it was really special. Yeah, he didn't know the full scope of what he would have to learn. Along the way, I was saying to them, this is going to be all shot in one take, and I don't think he understood. He didn't quite grasp what that meant because he'd never worked before. And when he finally got the script, we sort of worked with him quite a lot, and we got a wonderful sort of acting coach in to come and help him to sort of learn his lines, not to coach him in the acting side of it, but to help him to sort of get these lines in his head and just to be able to get off the page. But you know what, he was an absolute natural. The first day we came onto set, we shot episode 3 first due to Stephen's schedule. The first day he came on set, we all sat around a table. And we sort of just were going to go through the script and get the script off the page, read it. We all had our scripts in our hand. Erin had a script in her hand. All the other actors had their scripts in their hand. And Owen just came in and he had a script. He put it on the table and he just did it. It was mind blowing. He does what most actors train for most of their lives, which is to be real, be natural, be in the moment and listen. It's so important to just listen as an actor. And listen and respond naturally in the moment, and he just does that instinctively, like to the point where I give him notes, and I wouldn't think that he was taking these notes in. I was like, I don't know whether he's actually taking all that in, and he'd go and smash out a take, and you'd be like, whoa, what did I'm just like, yeah, it was mind blowing. It was so exciting to watch. I've never been so excited about watching an actor. I'm not watching, like with certainly with episode 3, I'm watching. I forget sometimes that I'm supposed to be like making notes and checking on it because I'm so engrossed in it and I'm in it. I was like, so I have to watch it back again straight away. Amazing.
I think that, he's so unbelievably phenomenal. It's really interesting. So many skills in actually the arts or whatever do actually involve, when you achieve peak level of it, it is unlearning all the sort of bad habits and the artifice really of it all. And it's so interesting that he hadn't worked, as they described it, hadn't worked very much beforehand, so that you don't have you haven't accrued all those kind of bad habits and the fakery of it really.
Yeah, that idea of saying we're doing it in one take, and you go, yeah, sorry, is that not how?
Well, yeah.
Is that not how you make telly?
What's the take?
Philip Barantini would never say this. You've got to be a great director to get that sort of performance from someone as well. It takes an awful lot of sensitivity from a director to understand who you're talking to, how to speak to that person, what it is you want from the script, how to get that across to somebody. any actor will tell you working with a great director makes you a better actor. But
and how many directors are going to want to work with him? It's such a, it's a risk of for the proverb of working with children and animals. That guy can carry your movie.
he's gonna win every award going, isn't he?
I hope so. Right. James Morgan and about 970 others said, everyone's talking about the drone shot and going over to the murder site. This is the end of episode 2. How did they do it? And was it one of the first things they decided and based everything else off it? It seems very smooth, but I imagine technically it was really difficult.
It was my idea because it was a suggestion in order to replace an existing beat, which was essentially that the camera moved down a street at eye level. And I was a little concerned that that would read as a person moving. And obviously we're talking about, yes, the camera is a character, but it needs to only be motivated by people. If you're going to detach from the characters, it sort of feels like it has to be at the end of the piece because it signifies an ending, it signifies a change. I didn't know we could do it, to be honest. I thought it'd be amazing if we could take off and fly away and, use the motivation of someone crossing the road to fly us away to, over the crime scene.
Each episode would have its own 3-week block. So we do 2 weeks rehearsal, and then we do the shoot week. So the shoot week would be 5 days. We'd shoot it twice every day, once in the morning and once in the afternoon, right? So we were doing the takeoffs, happy with some of them, you know what I mean? We didn't have the take that we were fully happy with. We were like, okay, we still got a few days. It was Wednesday, right? Wednesday of the shoot week. We still weren't happy. Then Toby Bentley, who's our exec at Netflix, spoke to Mark Herbert, one of the other producers from Warp, and was like, I think we should have Stephen in this episode somewhere. Would it be possible that we could, Stephen could be at the murder site and we can, maybe, I don't know, could we potentially land the drone? And it's probably a stupid idea, but I don't know, maybe not. And then Mark came to me and was like, Toby was asked if we could, what about this idea? And me being my brains, instead of saying, no, we're not doing that, it's ridiculous, I was like, oh my God, Matt, we need to land the drone. We need to try it at least. I think Matt probably, did you cry? I think you probably cried.
I'm getting PTSD from it. I mean, I totally understand the suggestion. It was just at the time, obviously, I knew we didn't have an episode in the bag yet, really.
Mid-shoot. We
were on the shoot week of a very sort of very planned piece. There's not a lot of room for changes. So
yeah,
part of me wanted to absolutely freak out, but obviously we knew there was a possibility that we could. So we explored it and we spent a little bit of time while we essentially replaced one of our takes. I think, what was it? It must have been Wednesday. It was Wednesday morning's take. We replaced with rehearsal of the landing. So we all sort of went over to that crime scene and we tried to suss out how we would approach this, make sure it's smooth. The coming down was really tricky because a drone, when it's moving really fast, can kind of cut through the wind, and apparently Pontefract is a really windy place. So when it moves fast, it's fine. But then when it slows down and it has to descend, you start to feel that sort of almost like a leaf falling from a tree, that sort of zigzag it can create. So, and we got the issue of that the drone had to be controlled on a moving vehicle because the range wasn't long enough from the school. It was always going to cut out. So all of the wheels for the gimbal were on the tracking vehicle, and the controls for the drone was our pilot was also on the tracking vehicle as well. So and that just stayed sort of underneath the drone the whole time coming in, and then me and the camera team, me, the focus puller, my loader who was controlling the exposure, and 2 grips hopped into a van, and we'd drive down the road and park in the car park and then get out and catch the drone. So it was rehearsing that, and we got to a point where it was working. It was a little tricky, and Phil knows I was terrified because I was like, this is obviously, it's a gamble. If it pays off, it's amazing. If it doesn't, I was a bit scared that the episode we wouldn't get it because it's so critical. And obviously all of this is happening at the end of a 50-minute one-er already, and we've done all of the other stuff. We've done stunts, we've done kids having a fight, we've gone down all of these corridors and done all of these scenes. So it was nerve-wracking. It came down to the Friday because basically the Thursday it was super windy. We couldn't really take off even. I think it was a no go for taking off. So we made like a little ending at the end where Stephen was near the school and all that, and it worked enough, but it wasn't the ending that everyone wanted. So then it was so then it came down to Friday. It came down to the last day, and so the morning take, I sort of slightly, I don't know if I threw my toys out the pram or I put my foot down, but I was just like, I think we need to get safety here, like one where we just take off the drone, but we don't come into land, just so that we've got one in the bag, because I was just worried. The wind was still on the cusp of it being, too much. And they said, yeah, let's do it. So we got that. And so there is a take where that happens and it works. That was when I cried, Phil, because I knew we got the episode at least. We got something in, and it was obviously still really good. But then we managed to get the second take of that day. The very last one we did was the landing of the drone, and we got it in that one as well, and therefore it was the winner. But quite the experience.
Okay, well now I am 100% having an anxiety dream.
I know,
for me,
that's
the
amazing.
two technical achievements of the year are SpaceX catching that, space rocket in the chopsticks, and that. Without any, and there's not a lot to choose between them in terms of the achievements of humankind.
But how lovely, it's fascinating that they've got about 4 separate endings there, because they took off once, they've done a shot with Stephen Graham nearer the school, and then they finally get the thing that they want, which is just desserts for all the work that they put in. But that again, imagine they do that, and then Stephen Graham sneezes. You're like, oh no, it's fine, Stephen. No, listen, we'll go again. That's incredible. The craft, the art and the craft at the same time. Now, I had a question I was fascinated with. I spoke on Tuesday's show about Pat Nunn, who did the sound on the EastEnders live special, and just talking to him and understanding what an unbelievable undertaking that was. So essentially I asked the question, how much did the crew obsess over making sure every battery pack on every actor was fully charged? That's my way into saying, oh my God, this must have been a technical nightmare for everyone behind the scenes.
I mean, I'm sure they did. The sound, I bet. Because there was so many, wasn't there? Everyone was lapped up,
especially on episode 2, everyone was lapped up. That setup for the sound team and the camera team, to be able to move through that school was immense. I'm pretty sure I can't remember the type of cabling that they brought in, but it was military grade cabling or something like that. I don't know.
Is that for the video transmission or the?
No, video and the sound. The sound team.
Oh yeah,
it was mega.
Yeah, it was good. With video, we had, because obviously we're moving between all these classrooms and we're in sort of loads of concrete walls everywhere, basically just absolute end game for most kind of receivers. We had to place receivers all over the school and hardwire them all back to one room, the room that Phil was in, where Video Village was. So that in itself took about 2 weeks. That was the entire rehearsal. The video team were rigging that just to make sure it would work, and then they would switch between all of the channels and find the strongest signal.
Yeah, episode 1, basically the convoy that goes up to the house before they arrest Jamie, the convoy of police, there's a police van in there. We dressed our Video Village van as a police van so we could be in shot and also be in range as well. And so that was episode 1. Episode 2, I was in one of the classrooms in the school, just sat there watching it on the monitors. Episode 3, we shot in a studio. We built that set in a studio, so I was just in the studio there. And then episode 4, again, we were in that same van, but we just took all the police stickers off it and turned it into our Video Village van, and we were just following Eddie's van. And yeah, it was, at times it was like we'd during rehearsals and stuff like that, we would lose signal a little bit, so we had to find the positions where the van could be so we could get the best signal. And then sometimes when we were in the house, they'd have to hardwire the van in, and then they'd have to unplug the wire before we take off. But all of these things are going on. Honestly, the amount of people and the amount of hard work that everyone put in and effort and skill, to create this, mind-blowing to me, because I'm watching the monitor and I'm across everything, but I can't be across everything. I don't know everyone's job. I don't ever claim to know everyone's job. I'm so interested in, for example, I just say, this is where I want to watch it from, and then suddenly I'm able to watch it. You know what I mean? And hundreds of people are doing their jobs effortlessly to make this work, and that was the beauty of this show. Was, when we were talking and interviewing people about to give them jobs or whatnot, and it was so important that we explained to them what we were doing. And if there was any seed of doubt, which there was on a few people, and I don't think it was doubt in terms of you're never going to be able to do it. It was more a case of ooh, not sure whether that's possible, or maybe we have to, then it's not the job for them. We and then someone else would come in and you'd be like, this is what we want to do, and they'd be like, oh my God, you could try this, or this is how you should, and that was the sort of family that we created, and it really was a family.
often people think that the director, of course, has sort of worked their way up and knows what absolutely every single person there does. They don't actually. It works because it's like it's sort of almost like a highly regimented society. It's a fully functional society in which all the little cogs are spinning in the right way when it's something flawless like this. And it is extraordinary how everyone functions together. They are highly functional environments. I wish they'd remake the British state.
You rely on your heads of department a great deal. And so the director, everything the director wants goes through those heads of department. As I say, for setting up the video village, there's someone who's in charge of that. But, so Philip will talk to the sound people. The head of sound will then have a team of 30, 40, 50 people. And that is their director. That is the person they listen to. And when Philip changes his mind, they have to go back. But that's the director for all of the sound stuff. And they do what they're told. And everyone, is offering up solutions. It's such an incredible ecosystem. As you say, the director has got this overall vision, but absolutely has to rely on these incredible heads of department and I loved when he said it's the people who offered up solutions, people who got excited by it, because excitement and nerves are very similar things in this context. I think those were the people who are like, oh, come on, listen, we might as well. Should we take a quick advert break? I can listen to Philip and Matt all day, but we'll do a quick advert break.
Well, we're cutting
first.
Here for a moment.
Oh, that's clever. This episode is brought to you by Sky, where you can watch unmissable shows such as the new season of Gangs of London, the BAFTA-winning Emmy-nominated series starring Joe Cole, Michelle Fairley and Chope Dirisu.
Now, Richard, in season 3, chaos erupts after a spiked drugs shipment floods the streets, killing hundreds of civilians. But here is the twist.
I mean, it sounds like a big enough twist already, but I love a twist.
I know you love a twist. The spiked shipment, it wasn't an accident. It was a planned and calculated attack.
Oh my God, knowing what I do about TV crime and writing all that sort of stuff, I suspect this is just the beginning.
Correctamundo.
I love your catchphrase. So bring me and maybe anyone listening up to speed who hasn't seen the first 2 seasons of Gangs of London. People absolutely love this show.
In the first 2 seasons, we saw the battle for power between Sean and Elliot. Let's not forget he's an undercover cop.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it came to a climactic head with Sean's now in prison at the start of season 3. Now, the aftermath of all of that has sparked a brutal power struggle right across the capital's underworld. We're talking tested loyalties, shifting alliances, unexpected betrayals. Who can be trusted? Elliot, who we've seen fight very hard to obtain power, struggles to hold on to it, while behind bars, Sean is still able to wield influence and affect events outside the prison walls, meaning the various gangs are looking over their shoulders, not knowing who to trust.
In my books, I have a drug dealer called Connie Johnson who's always in prison, but she's always got like a Nespresso machine and her Wi-Fi is absolutely sensational. I cannot wait to see what unfolds. Genuinely, so many people have told me about this show. Watch season 3 of the BAFTA-winning Sky original Gangs of London on Sky right now.
Welcome back. Now, Isaac King and many others ask, while the show's amazingly done in one take, I imagine there were parts that had to be cleaned up in post-production using some subtle tricks. At the end of the first episode, the laptop's important to the story. Was the video it plays edited in after to make sure it played on cue? What would happen if it was in sleep mode and needed a passcode? We've all been there.
The laptop's real.
The laptop's real. We actually shot the stuff on the laptop. We shot that 2 weeks before we started the shoot, so we did like a pre-shoot. That, and also the fight that Jamie has in when Erin is looking at the monitor when he's been having a fight and he's punching that kid on the floor. That was all shot on the same day. So I think we shot like a night shoot, wasn't it? And we just went out to the car park.
Yeah, we did day into
where
night.
You see, that's all real. It has to be, because one of my things is, and Matt's the same as well, is like I want the actors to be able to. I don't want the actors to have to look at a green screen, especially in a one take. They need to be real. Everything needs to be real and functional and working. That you almost need to forget that they're in a set, or because we built the police station, we built the secure training center. But when you're in it, the tiny details, attention to detail was key. There's so many factors that could have gone wrong, and a couple of things did. There was a couple of moments. Go on, Matt. You want to say something?
I was going to say, every time that laptop came out at the end of that episode, I was like, please hit the space bar and hit play. Imagine. Yeah. I don't think it never didn't. Like, they were all over it, props and all that. But it was just like, because imagine you do all of that and then it just doesn't play. It would have been awful. And you're right. There was so many things, like little details. The lift door's not opening. It's not a real lift, obviously. We just go in and then we walk through it. But
that happened. That happened on one take.
Oh, it did. That's why it's in my head.
Yeah, they got stuck.
Yeah.
They got stuck.
Yeah, just it got stuck. But like, obviously, and that, no one would think, oh, that would be an issue. But there's two people pulling the doors open because it's not real. So.
I had a question as well, which we spoke on Tuesday about actors with theatre experience, and I just wondered how many of the cast of this had theatre experience and how useful that was to the director and the DOP.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's important because there's the two disciplines are very different. In a way, you've got with theatre, it's about projecting and being bigger and sort of I mean, a lot of theatre nowadays is like film acting. But it was important to find people who could have that discipline and also have the stamina to do this, in one take. It's nerve-wracking. It's incredibly nerve-wracking. So you obviously don't want to be the one who messes up. But one of the things I did say to all the actors when we were auditioning them, I actually like it when actors fluff their lines. They style it out and make it feel like it was meant to happen, or even if it wasn't meant to happen. They just style it out. They're not like, oh no, sorry, can we go again? I've messed up. You know what I mean? Give them the sort of confidence to be like, okay, it's okay to mess up, and the other actors got my back, and they're going to pick it up for me. It's important that you give actors that sort of confidence and to be able to play a little bit as well and have fun with it and not feel like they're restricted to exactly what's said in the script. We'd go through the script and talk about how would you say that, like for example with Owen, there's certain things in there that that were in the script, and I'd say Steve would be like, would you say that? And he's like, no, I wouldn't say it like that. Well, how would you say it then? And he'd say it how he would say it, and he'd be like, well, that's how Jamie's going to say it then. Matt is also a character because he has to be there with them, and what is amazing about Matt is, and I'm going to blow smoke up his backside because I think he's, cover your ears, we worked together since day one, and what Matt is, he is so empathetic, and so he will feel the emotion and he will really instinctively find the right moment. So but if something was to change, if an actor did something differently, Matt wasn't fluffing his lines, he was in it and just so instinctive.
And you could tell it a few times, and it adds a good actor can add to the naturalness of their performance. A couple of times you can see, especially in that episode 3, moments where they started saying the wrong thing and stopped and said the right thing, or the response to what they said was using different words to the thing that they had just said. There's just a few moments. And I'd be fascinated at some point to take Stephen Graham and Jack Thorne's script and put it up against what's actually on screen and see what percentage made it. I'd imagine a very, very large percentage, but there's always the odd bit and bob again that comes from being a theatre actor. You know that you have a little bit of leeway if you get the wrong word or two words in the wrong order, and you've got a good actor working alongside you, that the two of you can find your way through it.
And find your way back. I did read Ashley Walter saying he messed up one take, and that would be my watching it. I was just thinking, the fear. I'm probably going to have an anxiety dream about messing up one of these takes. When you just see how many are involved in every scene, the idea that you're messing up a take, you're messing up that half day.
With this, you're spending millions of pounds on each episode, and like the whole crew are there, and it's like kind of 5 p.m. and everyone's thinking, maybe we get to go home after this, and you're kind of 47 minutes through the episode, and you
that's my anxiety dream.
But that's the beauty of the whole thing, because we sense that all the way through, and the fact that they took those pains makes this a proper work of art.
This episode is brought to you by our friends at Sky.
Now, Marina, regular listeners will know that one of our favourite parts of Sky Glass or Sky Stream is the voice control. It saves us a ton of time scrolling through lists of shows or moving between apps.
I love this.
Well, because of that, and because we loved it last year with Sky, it's the return of Say It to Play It.
You have missed that reverb, haven't you?
Now, Sky's voice control really is as simple as it sounds.
If you love an actor, but maybe you can't remember what else they've been in, you can simply say their name into your remote and everything they're in will appear before you.
For you then, Marina, you could say, for example, I'm trying to think of an actor that, Glenn Powell, you could say. I don't know why I pick on him.
To pluck a name?
Suddenly everything he's in will appear across Sky, Netflix, Disney+, iPlayer, everything.
I'd want to see Hitman again. If you haven't seen it, it's Richard Linklater. Okay, Glenn Powell is a fake hitman. What is not to love? He's in a caper. It's funny.
Yeah.
That's what I'd call for. Although any of his huge body of work would be fantastic to watch.
I prefer a fake hitman to a real hitman.
Yes.
You could also say, for example, Fulham FC. Headlines, highlights, YouTube clips, all sorts. We can watch one of the many, many, many goals we've scored this season in our quest to finish 9th.
And if you're really stuck for something to watch, simply say, what should I watch? And Sky will bring you top picks just for you based on your viewing habits. Now, I actually did this and I was very pleased. It showed me season 1 of The Last of Us, which of course I've watched, but season 2's coming up, and therefore I thought, I will rewatch the last episode, because this is the burden of the modern TV viewer, that you want to be right on top of it when it restarts.
And a burden that Sky Stream and Sky Glass take from you. And it brings together everything you might watch across all the Sky channels, the movie collections, Sky Sports, all that stuff. The technology genuinely feels like magic. If you fancy watching all this great stuff, you can add all of your favourite movies and suggestions to your own personal playlist on Sky TV. Head to sky.com to find out more.
Samuel Bennett's got a question about the sort of technical kit. Do shows, like when they're trying something different like this, need special kit, new lenses, new cameras, whatever, to make it all work?
Yeah, we did loads of testing, absolutely loads of testing. And the camera that came on top was the Ronin 4D, which is the sort of the chicken camera, as it were. It's got a little Z-axis and a smaller gimbal, and you hold it by 2 grips on either side. Effectively because it's small enough to hold in front of you. You can pass it to another operator, which was huge because all the other systems were so large that you could barely fit for a doorway, or you had to strap to someone because it's too heavy. It limits you physically. Whereas something that small, you can sort of move it between people, and it does so much for the movement. And that was the priority. Obviously, there's small image limitations with it. The lens choice was weird because obviously once you're in it, this is your one perspective, and ideally, I mean, I felt like maybe we could have changed lens between episodes and been on something slightly different. But the second we shot the first episode, it was or rather the third one, so we did that one first, I was like, this is the point of view. If we change it, it's strained. There's an audience expectation of what the world looks like. I think if we changed it per episode, it would have felt entirely different. And it was a 32mm Cooke SP3, and we came to that decision because any wider and we saw too much ceiling. So we started to see booms, lights, you name it, it was probably there. You also get you had a nice sense of movement from it, but it was your close-ups don't look quite so nice because everyone's faces have got a little bit more sort of fisheye effect to them. And then we could have gone tighter. The next one in was 50mm, but then imagine how nauseating that could have been in some sections when you're cropping the image into this sort of smaller area and you're whizzing around. It would have been super dizzying. So the 32, and it was always like a 35 was sort of what I was thinking, and that was what was on that set. So yeah. That was how we settled on it. Just trial and error, running around an empty warehouse before they built the set, sort of playing with it and filming Phil sat on a chair in the middle of a warehouse and getting a sense of movement with it, really.
Alex Brown says, at first I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me when I saw Brad Pitt was listed as an executive producer. Was this a vanity credit, or did he play some sort of bigger behind-the-scene role that hasn't been spoken about?
He was gonna come to the shoot, but I think he was busy on F1 because he was in town. But no, I mean, Brad, listen to me. I mean, we basically when we sort of pitched the idea, me and Stephen pitched the idea to Plan B. It was a weird one because we were waiting for ages to get this meeting in, and they were like, oh, we're just waiting for Brad, his schedule, and I was like, oh, it can't be Brad Pitt. There must be another Brad in the company. And no, yeah, sure enough, Brad was on the Zoom, and he loved the idea. And then we had a bunch of other Zooms when we were pitching it out and stuff with Brad on the Zooms as well. He's such a lovely human being, and he's also a really quite a hands-on producer. You know what I mean? He would feed back notes and stuff, and amazing to have him. To have him on board, and yeah. I mean, I'd love to work with him again. You know what I mean? Maybe get him in another one.
Well, I mean, that's great to hear, isn't it? Because you sometimes see like the Will Ferrell in Succession titles, and I don't think he had a huge amount to do with the show.
No, it's lovely. It's like, you often hear great stories about Danny DeVito, who often gets producer and exec producer credits on things, and you talk to people and they go, oh no, he's really, really, he gets his hands dirty and he actually does the work and he shows up. If you're Brad Pitt as well, how lovely that this group of Brits have done this extraordinary thing and you were able to be in there at the beginning of it. It just, must give you a warm glow. I have a question from Lily Watson, who says, you've mentioned on the show before the WhatsApp group chats that cast and crew have during recordings and how they kind of die off once it's finished. When a show goes big like Adolescence, does the chat fire up again? Are they all saying, let's do it again?
Yeah.
I mean, Yeah, I think I think we need a bit of time to process. I mean, honestly, and I'll speak for Matt as well, I guess. Like we've spoken, because we're currently working together on something else at the minute. We're out in Malta, but we feel like we've made something special. Like, but the UK, it probably resonate in the UK because of the sort of the knife crime and the subject matter and all of that. But did we expect what it's actually doing absolutely not. So we're out here with all the crew. Like most of the crew are with us on this new job. Every 5 minutes we're like, this has happened, oh my god, this person's message, this person's watched it, this person's put it on it was in Parliament today. They were talking about it in Parliament today. It's like the Prime Minister's talking about it in Prime Minister's questions. It's like, wow, it's exceeded anything that I ever imagined, when we said we wanted to make this show. Incredibly grateful for the whole team and everyone that worked on it as well, and everyone who's watching it and liking it.
Oh, that's so great that they're actually together IRL. A lot of people don't realise that crews, people have people they love working with and that they get great results with. And so they can sort of migrate from project to project. So it's amazing that they're together in real life while this is happening.
That's so amazing. The great writer Roy Clark, who wrote Last of the Summer Wine and Open All Hours and things like that, when he got like a fellowship at the British Comedy Awards, he said, I wish you all hits. Because that's the thing. It doesn't happen often, and when it does, you've absolutely got to luxuriate in it. Especially a hit like this that you've really, really, really earned.
And that suggestion that they could do it all again, I remember talking to this grip who worked with Roger Deakins on Sam Mendes' 1917, and apparently Sam did a speech on the last night saying, "Oh, I feel like I could do it all over again," and they just looked at each other at the rap party, like so traumatized, still having to sort of process the technical challenge of having to do it. So yeah, they probably need a little bit of space.
It's like having a child, isn't it? You just think, listen, I guess one day I'll be ready to have another one, but don't ask me now.
Well, as I said, it's so amazing that it's got people talking in two completely different ways about the issues, but also just as a technical masterpiece. We already know people are really interested in this kind of behind the scenes stuff, but how amazing to have that insight. Thank you guys so much.
That was amazing. I hope that was fun to listen to as well. We've never done a Q&A like this before, but I hope you can understand why we did. Greatly appreciated that Philip and Matt gave up their time. I know you guys are all over there in Malta, and I know you don't want to do it again right now, but everyone in Britain would like you to do another one, if that's okay. You take a couple of weeks off, guys, but after that.
Well, thank you very much, and we will see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday, everyone.